Right. All the sudden things are happening today because suddenly my computer got off. All right. So last week we discussed about what is a presentation and how we can take new slides and what are the layouts that we can have these things from here and how we can apply a particular design into this, right, to have your presentation looks attractive, right? And we talk about the major things like how we can enter the insert some tables, pictures, right, shapes, right, 3D models, charts, kind of things, right? And we talk about how to deal with the transition, how to apply some animation to change for the change of a particular slide from one particular slide to another, as well as we talk about the animations as well, right? I told you like you can insert any particular object, right? So as an example, you can have a let's say a small shape, and you can click on this and you can do the animations. So you can apply a one particular animation to show how it is being entered into the slide. So if you want to have more animations to be added, you can go to the add animation part. I told you to not to select another animation from here again, which will replace the previous animation if so. So you can click this add animation and you can go for the emphasize one, right? Emphasize will be happen when you are when the object is on the slide, all right? Then if you want, you can apply an exit one as well, right? So the way that you have applied the animations will be shown on this slide, and it will prioritize, or like it will give the order in which order that the animations are going to happen. If you want to deal with the animation, you have to use the animation pane, and animation pane will show what are the animations that you have applied on this slide on the subjects, on the objects, right? So likewise, you can take any particular thing, like if you want to have a picture, so you can have a picture. Right, so and yeah, let's say I'm taking this microbit. All right, so for this as well, you can apply some animations, right? So like go there and this is the enter in one, and you do this filling as the exit. So I do a wipe in for the entering, and I keep it tweaked, and I apply a swivel to be exit, right? So now what you can see is what you can see all these things, like this particular object has 3 animation which happens at the first, and this particular object is having 4 animations which is going to happen as the last, right? So likewise, you can apply different types of animations onto your objects to be like displayed on the slide when you are doing the presentation, right? So this is the presentation mode, so you cannot see anything over here. So once I do a mouse click, here comes the shape, so it enters. When I do the next click, it do the color changing part as the emphasizing animation, and when I click again, it disappears. So the first 3 animations are happening. So when I click the second one, this appears and it appears again. I think I have entered the two enter animations I have given, and it's tilting as the emphasis animation, and now it is being disappeared. And people, there is no what we call a rule that you must add an enter in animation, emphasize in animation, as well as exit in animation. It depends on the way that you are going to do your presentation. So according to your requirement, you can change the way that the animation is going to happen. Right? So from this thing, from this start, duration, and delay, we can use these three parameters over here to control our animations. Right? So the start, this is by default is taken on click. We can change it with previous and after previous. So if I change this into the with previous, can you see there's a different happens? Something different is happening over here. Now this has 4, 5, 6, and 7. I'll get rid of the fourth animation. All right. So in the animation pane, it is given the numbers from 1 to 6 to indicate that this is happens one after the other. If I click this particular picture, and if I change this with previous, you can see these 4, 5, 6 numbers will be disappeared and it will become 3. See? So that means these 3 animations are going to happen with this one. Right? So what I have said happens it with previous. Right? So now look what happens. When I play the presentation, my face appears, it emphasizing. See, when it is exiting, this happens quickly. Right? It is just entered, just tilt, and just exits. Right? Right? So this is what is going on when we have given it with previous. So if you want to see it one after the other, the we can't control it. Right. So what we can do is we can say these 3 animations to happen one after the other. Right. So what we can do is we can select the object and we can say after previous. So then you can see the time limits. We can see the time all over here by seconds. So now we can see this animation happens first, then this, then this. So first these 3 will happen due to a click. Then these things one after the other. And to happen these things, I don't need to click my mouse. It happens automatically one after the other. But for these 3, I have to click. When I click, smiley face will enter or appear. When I click, it will change the color. When I click, it will exit. So meanwhile, it is being exited. These 3 things are happening one after the other. All right. So like this. Now it appears. Now it changes the colors. Now it exits. So this happens. So now you can see all 3 animations in a particular way. And again, by using this delay, you can make, or like you can keep some gaps in between the animations. All right. So if I click on the second animation, if I click on an object, it will select all the animations regarding it. So what I need to do is like, I need to have some gaps in between this and this and these 3 things, right? So I'm going to change all the animations happens like after previous. So now everything is going to happen one after the other, but I need to have some delays, right? So like I say, delay the second animation by 1 second. Likewise, selecting all 4 and give a delay as 1 second. Now you can see, look at this. Look what happens. Now this animation happens, it will stay for 1 second, and the second one is going to happen and stay for 1 second, and the third one is going to happen. Likewise, it's going to happen one after the other. Now let's see how this is going to happen. So yeah, after 1 second, it appears. Here, 1 second, tilting, 1 second, exiting. Now, for the entire animation part, I haven't given any mouse click because everything happens one after the other. So it starts automatically, then it continues one after the other after 1 second of delay. People, is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Right, great. Okay, so now with this duration, we can increase the duration of each and every animation. Now, as you can see in the animation pane, these 4 animations has the similar size of rectangles or like timelines, right? So everything goes with the 0.5 seconds. So that animation happens for 0.5 seconds. But this, the one before the last is happening for 1 second, and the last one is happening for 2 seconds. So if I want, I can increase the duration of this. So when I increase it, my animation will happen slowly, right? So likewise, I'll increase this into 1.5 seconds, this as 1.5 seconds, as well as this for 1.5 seconds. I'll take this as 1.5 as well. So let's see. When I run it, see, now it happens slowly. So 1.5 seconds, 1 second change, 1 second change. Right, so likewise, you can manage the duration of a particular animation. Okay, people, are we clear about this?
Yes, sir.
Right, great. So now, and you know how these things are going to happen. And in case if you want to change the order, but when you are changing the order, be very careful. Like if I put this emphasize in one at the top of entering, now entering happens the second way, emphasize happen as the very first animation, then exiting. All right. So let's preview this. So color changing happen, then entering happen, then exiting happen. Right. So if you want to do it in an order, it's better you try it in the way entering, emphasizing, and exiting. That doesn't mean that you can't mix those things, but if you have a particular order, it's better you have it in that way: entering animation, emphasizing animation, and exiting animation. And if you want to keep your objects on the slide until the slide is done, so no exiting animation will be set, only the entering and emphasizing, right? So likewise, you can manage your animation according to the way you want, all right? And once you click this, here you got 2 buttons, move earlier, move later. So that will help you to move earlier and move later as well. As well as you can click and drag any particular animation. All right, so likewise, we can change the order of the animation that it is going to happen. Okay, and yeah. So the final one regarding the animation that is there is the motion paths, right? So motion path is there to determine a particular path, and we can arrange that path in the way we want, right? So to do that, I'll take a new slide, right? I'm getting rid of these text boxes, and I'm importing a picture. So what I need is it's over here, I guess. Yeah, I'm taking this basketball, right? So it's big, and I'm taking copies of this by pressing the control and clicking and drag. You can make the copies easily, right? And now for this ball, I'm going to insert right. So I'll go over here and choose lines. Yeah, can you see that ball has moved, and it shows how the animation is done. And if you can see, just look at this. See? This particular ball has a starting point, which indicates by this green arrowhead, and the ending point, which indicates by this red arrowhead. I can change that red arrowhead by clicking and dragging onto a way right, and so I set where it needs to end. I'll take it a little bit further. So here, yes. And for this ball, I'm giving a different custom path. So I go to add animation. I'm giving an arc. Oh. Right. And even that, I can change how the arc is going to happen. And for the third ball, I'm going to give this motion path. Right, and this I will give you an animation, this custom path. And in that custom path, when we choose the custom path, what we have to do is we can click on the object and we can draw. Right, you can change if it goes wrong. Yeah, and you have to double click. Yes, that's how it happens. All right, now let's see what happens. Look what happens. Clicking, this goes straight, this goes in a curve. Look at this. Okay. So that is how the animation is done using the custom parts, right? And as the other animation shows us, once we increase the duration of these, they will show you the movements in a much clearer manner. So since this is having 5 seconds, I will increase this into 5 as well. Okay, now you can see, and I'll make these two start with previous. And I'm going to place, look at that. Now it happens slowly because of the duration has been increased. Okay, likewise, we can take any particular object and we can animate it in a way that we want. Okay, people, are we clear about this? Custom paths?
Yes, sir.
Right, great. Yes, now when it comes to the slideshow tab, in the slideshow tab, we have different kinds of different methods of starting the presentation. You can start it from the beginning. You can start the presentation from the current slide, right? That's what happens once I click over here as well. And we can customize the slideshow, right? So that means you have, let's say, different kinds of objects over here. Right, so if you go to the slideshow and choose the custom slideshow, I can choose what are the slides. Right, you can choose what are the slides that you need. If you need only 1, 3, and 5, then you can say okay. Right, and you can edit and put the second one and the fourth. You can edit over here and say you can okay. All right, so let's see whether how this is going to happen. So first slide. All right, so when the custom show is here, once you click this, it will give you the particular slides that we have chosen, and it only displays that. Right, it does not display in the this basketball thing because we have customized the particular PowerPoint presentation. Right, so then over here, we can remove the custom show. Then it comes all the things that we need. Right. So when it comes to the record as well as from the slideshow, you can record yourself onto the slideshow as well, right? So it's like this. So you can say record it from the current slide or record it from the beginning. If I choose record it from the beginning, so it shows me something like this. So you can see my face over here. Hello everyone. So I can record myself onto this presentation slide. So to do that, I have to click the record button over here. You people can see my interface, right? The record button, stop, reply, and notes, those kind of things. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Right. So like if I start my recording, so here it gives a countdown and it start recording. Okay, now it's recording. So I can say now this presentation slide is about the alphabet. So we'll move forward and see how the presentation is going to happen. This is shows some animations. And the third one, it shows some custom parts, how it is changing over when it is come from one end to another. All right. And I can stop it. So when I stop it, and once I close this, right, can you see what happens? Now, a small video of mine are being embedded into these 3 slides. So if I play this, let me share with the sound. Let me share it with the sound. Forward and see how the presentation is going to happen. This is shows some animations. See, and the it happens. The third one, it shows some custom parts, how it is changing over when it is come from one end to another. Right, and I can. Right, so likewise, you will be able to record yourself onto the presentation as well. And then what you can do is you can export your presentation as a video as well. So export to video, you have to click. Then you will be given this particular window. And there you can do the settings. There is nothing much. What you can do is you can choose the quality. You can talk about the time duration. So like if you got a well-timed presentation, it's better you go with use record timing and narrations. So like it will play all the things that you have done and all the time slots which you have managed, right? Don't use recorded time and narrations, will cause you a little bit problems, right? So you use the recorded time and narrations. I have to, and I have to simply click the create video button. Then it asks to where my file is going to be saved. So I'm saving it on the desktop. And I click the save button. So if you can see your video is being made over here. All right, so still the exporting part is happening. Over here it says creating video abc.mp4. Right, still it is exporting like that. That's how when if you use different amount of data or like videos, specifically videos, animations, it will slow down your exporting process a little bit. Now it is being exported. I'm minimizing this, and here you go. This is my presentation. If I double click it, it will right. So I can just what do I going to say? All right, so you choose, let's give Windows Media Player and say okay. Okay, now it's recording, so I can so now it is playing. This presentation slide it is not the now previously we were playing so the presentation to see the narration. Now since it is being recorded, is going to happen. It's just this is shows some animations playing as a video file, and the third one, it shows some custom paths, how it is changing over when it is come from one end to another. All right, and I can. All right, so likewise, we can export a video as to have a video file from our presentation. In many occasions, you may need that pass in the like exporting a presentation as a video, right? So review and view. Review is actually doing some proofing part as you learn in Word. You can find the spelling mistakes. You can you can use the thesaurus, all right? And when it comes to the view has different kinds of things for you to learn. Like normal view is the view that you can see. If you take outline view, you can see only outlines on the particular page, right? And slide sorter will allow you to sort your slides in a way you want. Right, and this notes page will help you to have some notes regarding any particular resource. So if you are forgetting some points, some interesting points, so it's better you type it, right? Right, so likewise, you can type it, and when it comes to the note page, you can put some help hints over there. Right. Right, so likewise you can put the things which is regarding this slide. So if you are going to the notes page, you can see slide is there and the helping is there as well. And the reading view will only show you the things in full screen. Right, and you can see the ruler due to this ruler has been enabled. If you cannot see the ruler, you can click on that and stay as it is. Right. So yeah, these are the things that you need to know regarding the PowerPoint. Right. Any questions you have? Is that clear, everyone?
Clear, sir.
Right. Great. Okay. So let me go through. Yes, there's one other thing I have to talk to you about, the printing of this. Right. So to print a particular PowerPoint presentation, you have to go to the file and you have to choose print. Right. So once you are like in this menu, you can go to the print. It shows you what are the things that you have on your presentation and how these things are going to print. Now here what you can see is this is going to be printed entirely around the slide. So sometimes it may not affect you, right? And in that case, you can change the print all slides like this. You can print it with slide and the notepad. You can print the outline, right? Outline in the sense like what are the contents that they got. And you can type like 4-side horizontal. Right. So if you are going to plan some handouts or something, or if you just need to print everything in a one particular slide, it is the way that you can change the layout. Right. And you can have it on the landscape orientation or the portrait orientation. Likewise, you can change how it's gonna happen. Right. So that is how that is the way that you are going to print a particular presentation. Okay, people. Now let's go through the textbook and see if you missed something. We discuss about this, the different types of devices that they use to do the presentation. And we write about these qualities. And we write about the presentation software types. And then the practical part. So we get to know about the interface and the quick access toolbar, title bar, tabs, ribbons, side pane, those kind of things. And this is the LibreOffice experience for you. And setting a slide, we learn about setting a slide, how to create a particular slide, and how to apply a particular designs and all these things. and changing about the layouts, slide backgrounds we talk about. And I told you, it's better you have your presentation in a way that you can do 7 by 7. Yeah, then we talk about inserting objects, inserting a shape, flip art, picture, and we talk about how to restyle it, put an animation, slide transitions, and the properties regarding animation and slide transitions, and the way we are going to print a presentation. Right, so that brings you the end of the 6th lesson. People, any questions before we move to the new lesson, which is the 5th one? All right. So it seems everything is clear regarding the presentation. Yes, people, before we move to the next question, I asked you to find some details about a particular presentation. And people, just one another thing, did I mention you about this slide master last week? I don't remember that I'm talking about this. Did I talk to you about this? Can anyone recall?
Yes, sir.
We talk about it, right? Great, great, great. Okay, I want you to find some topic to do a small presentation next week, right? Like maximum like up to 5 to 6 presentation slides, some small topic, right? And does anyone have any particular idea regarding it, and like regarding what that you are going to do this? Right, you can find some hobbies. It's very easy to build a presentation regarding your hobby, and you can say how you have found it, what are the way that you are applying, right? Or you can talk about some particular technologies, right, in the world, one particular technology, like virtual. You can there are many topics: virtual reality, augmented reality, right? A new devices, robots, right? So no problem. Dilendya still goes the way, right? Dilendya says she's going to do a science lesson in their science book. Yes, right? So maximum, don't make it as a very big one. Just maximum 5 minutes is enough, right? So use some colors, use some designs, use what we have learned, and create a small presentation paper. So that's a good option. You can find another lesson from a different subject, and you can do a small presentation regarding that. Utkarsha, not now, right? I'll give you guys the time by next week to do the presenting part. All right, so this week I'll let you all to create the presentation, and it's better you send the presentation, email this presentation to me before you present it. So I'll go through those. and then you can talk about it, right? We got like around 10 students in the class, right? So you may go with that, right? And I'll put you the email address where you can send your presentations to that email, so I can watch. First, I can get to see about those, so then you can present it, right? So right, so this is the email address that you have to send your presentation: starlabshw@gmail.com. Let me confirm that as well. Yeah. Yes, I have dropped the message to both the groups, right? So just be prepared, right? Don't make it as a very big hassle, right? You can just send it. People, are we clear about what we are talking about? Like regarding the presentation? Yes, everyone? Is it clear? Do you got any questions regarding the presentation? Some of you have asked some questions, so I think I have answered it in the way you want. Right, great. So now I'm going to start the new lesson, which is operating system. And for your operating system people, there is a note like this, which I have prepared for you. The contents are being taken from your textbook as well. And I will send this to you, send this both the WhatsApp group. So you can print this out and keep it, right? So it's a 16-page, or no, 20-page document. So you can print this for the A5 sheets. A5 sheet can A4 එකට P2 4ක් print කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන විදිහට මම මේක compose කරලා තියෙන්නේ. Right? So if you are like printing from your own printer, go to the printing option, choose the printer that you are going to print. And it's better you, since I am sending this as a PDF, so you choose booklet, right? Once you choose booklet, the pages will be arranged like this. So then you can print. There are 10 pages, that means 5 sheets will be sufficient. All right. So likewise, you can have this for the operating system. So you don't need to write anything. We are just talking through the lesson. All right. Okay, so yeah, let's have a start for this. So as it says, the computer consists of hardware, firmware, and software in your computer, right? So we are going to talk about the operating system and what is the involvement of those operating system in your computer. So these are the hardwares that we learned, right? The system unit, the fans inside it, the monitor, webcams, routers, UPS, keyboard, graphic cards, the central processing unit, mouse, motherboards, many kinds of hardwares, right? And there is softwares as well. And when you are trying to boot your computer, the firmware, which is called like the BIOS, CMOS, those are kind of the ROMs, will help the machine to boot up. So when the machine is being booting up, it boots up the operating system for you to interact with the machine. Right. So these have been illustrated as the main operations that is being performed when the operating system is loaded onto your computer. So the very first thing, user powers up the computer, the CPU activates the BIOS, the basic input output system, right? It is the place where the computer activates very first when you press the power button, right? Then there is a program called POST, power on self-test, right? So that program will use the CMOS memory. CMOS means complementary metal oxide semiconductor, which has some instructions and some checkings that you need to do, that actually the machine need to do when it is being starting or booting for the very first time, right? Very first time means when it is getting the electricity. So it checks the critical hardwares and confirms that they functioning properly, right? Then once those the POST program confirms that the hardwares are working properly, then it will find the master boot record, which we call the MBR, in the boot drive according to the firmware, which is called the bootstrap loader, right? Which is given by the computer manufacturer, right? So like bootstrap loader will show you these kind of information, right? It shows you what's the capabilities of the CPU and how many RAMs have been installed, right? And the cache, the BIOS, those details, right? So then what happens, once that bootstrap loader found the master boot record, that means the starting point of the operating system, it gives the operating system, or it loads the operating system onto the random access memory. And then the operating system takes over the changing, so like the control of your computer, right? So there's a small video that you can see how this is actually happens. Let me show you that, so you will be getting a better idea how it happens, right? Yeah, there you go.
Introducing SpeechAlone, the most natural sounding text-to-speech software on the market. Hey, I'm Joey, and I'm one of the 38.
Okay, so this will give you a clear idea how the booting is done, right? Just see.
Important to understand the boot process because it provides several key pieces of forensic information and allows you, as a forensic examiner, to control the boot process to use forensic booting tools. Let's take a look at what happens when you boot a computer. When you turn on your computer, the power supply sends power to the motherboard, which in turn activates the boot process. The Power on Self-Test post instructions are stored in a ROM, a read-only memory chip, as part of the BIOS, or the Basic Input-Output System. The post runs through a series of tests to make sure everything is working. Most post sequences will have a combination of audible and visual messages to let you know what is and isn't working. These are the beeps that you generally hear when your computer is booting up. The post checks your video card. At that point, you will see information from the post on the screen. The post then checks to make sure it can find a CPU and that it's communicating. Then it tests your RAM. This is a very basic check of whether it can communicate with your RAM. Now it checks for keyboard and mouse. Depending upon the type of keyboard you have, you might see the keyboard's lights flash. At this point, you would normally see an indication on the screen of how you can enter the BIOS setup program on your computer. Each BIOS software vendor will have a different keystroke, but it is often either F2, F10, or the delete key. This vendor's key is F2, and we will enter BIOS setup. This is where important forensic information is stored, including date and time information and the booting order. Your computer can be set to boot from your hard drive first, or from your CD, or a USB drive, or even from the network. If you want to boot the computer with a forensic boot CD or forensic USB device, you may need to change the boot order. Lights on each drive will flash as the post checks them for booting instructions. Most computers are set up to check the optical drive first. This makes it easier to install new operating systems. Then they check the very first hard drive, drive 0. Post is looking for the master boot record. The master boot record is always at cylinder 0, head 0, and sector 1. It points to the boot sector. Finally, post is done, and the operating system takes over.
This presentation provides an overview of
Yes, people, did you got the idea? how the booting process is happening?
Yes, sir.
Right. So there are so many videos like that, right? So how these things are actually working in the computer. So those are one of those. So it happens on that particular way, right? As we discuss over here with points, right? So then we are going to talk about the categorization of the softwares. This is something you know already from the second lesson, but here they are like talking about more into the operating system. So when it comes to the software categorization, there are two major categorization, which we call the application software and the system software. So here they are specifically talking about system softwares, right? So system softwares, it's divided into three parts. The one major part is the operating system. So operating system is none other than the major software in your computer system, which provides the interfaces, or like which provides a way for the user to connect with the computer or the device, right? So as well as it will manage the hardware and software which is being installed into your computer, right? So we generally the storage is happening inside a hard disk, and CPU, the hardware component, is the one which is going to do the processing, but user does not know how to interact with these hardwares, right? He don't know how to interact with the hard disk straight away. He don't know how to interact with the CPU straight away. He don't know how to interact with the RAM straight away. So to interact with those, the operating system is given. So it is working as an intermediary thing which connect the physical machine and the user, which are being to share the data which is being stored into the computer system, right? And there is something called utility softwares, which helps the operating system as well as the user to take his works or his or her works in a smoother manner. And utility softwares are not used by the users for their day-to-day purposes generally, right? So for that we use application softwares. So when it comes to the utility softwares, what they are doing is they smooth the process, right? So as an example, antivirus software, it will take care of the malwares on behalf of the user when we are using a computer system. So the user does not need to bother about checking on the malwares when it has an antivirus software, because at the background, even this particular moment in my computer, my antivirus software is taking care of the computer system, which is the Windows security, whether any particular malwares are being attacked or like being interacted or trying to enter into my computer system. So I'm not usually open this and like asking the antivirus software to scan my devices and all these things. In some occasions, like when I'm plugging a USB stick to my computer, it will be automatically scanned by my antivirus software and give me a particular message by saying this particular external device is safe to use, right? So likewise, utility softwares are like that. So when it comes to the utility softwares, the antivirus software, other than it, so the disk formatting that you can find in your computer, right? So the disk formatting can be found in your computer right over here, right? So this gives under the disk management window, and it shows you what are the healthy partitions that you have in your computer, and gives you the details like this. So it shows me the D and C, and it keeps some separated partitions, small partitions, which were created by the operating system when we are like creating these partitions on the hard disk for the backup and recovery purposes. right? So it is maintained by the operating system, these little partitions. These are the two partitions that help us to store data, right? So if you want to format this, we can right click over here and we can ask it to be formatted, right? So it will format the thing. So like it will clean all the data that you can find on the particular partition and make it a fresh disk, right? So we are going to talk about the formatting part much in detail at the latter part of the lesson, and as well as language translators, the third type. So like system software are being categorized into operating system, the first category, and the utility software, the second category. The third category is the language translators. So language translators are the softwares that help computer to understand the programs which are being created by the user. So in grade 11, you are going to learn about a programming language called Pascal, right? So what you can see over here in this picture is also a Pascal, right? So in the Pascal, once we have written a particular program, now this is the particular program that we have written, we call this the source program. So the source program is known to us, right? We can easily understand what it says. So in this program, it's saying like print the hello friend phrase on your monitor, right? So, but this particular letters cannot be understood by the computer, the hardware, the processor. So in that case, this particular instructions needs to be converted into ones and zeros by some other program. So that program is called the language translators, right? So they will convert this letter, symbols, and all these things into ones and zeros, right? So when it is converted into ones and zeros, the machine, or in other words, the CPU, will be able to understand that, right? So yes, so those are the system software. So three major parts, which was operating system, language translators, and utility softwares. So the other major category of the software are the application softwares, like I said. So the application software are the softwares that we use every day for our day-to-day purposes. So likewise, as you learn like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, later we are going to learn about the Access, right? The email applications, the Netflix, the entertainment applications, right? Google Drive, Paint, and audio, like different kinds of applications are there, which we use regularly to do our day-to-day needs, like to listening to a song, watching a movie, making a document, editing a video, right? Those kind of things are done by the application softwares, right? So yeah, so far that's the story. People, is that clear? So we have talked about a very simple part regarding the regarding this lesson, just the categorization of software and what is the booting process is. Is that clear, everyone? Right. Great. So next we are going to talk about the importance of this operating system, right? So you can easily understand the importance of the operating system by this small diagram. So as you can see, operating system is staying at the middle. And if you look closely, you can see like there are arrow for each and every component from the operating system. See, it connects with the application software. It connects with the other system softwares. That means the utility softwares, language translators. It connects with the hardware from here. It connects with the human users from here, right? So this is the importance. Without operating system, none of these things neither the human users, nor the application softwares, nor the other system softwares, nor the hardwares will be able to interact with each other. That's why I told you this operating system works as an intermediary. He's the one who balances the things, right? Without him, no one will be able to communicate with anyone else. So, and when it comes to the operating system, there are many tasks that the operating system is doing around to keep this relationship in a smoother manner, right? So when it comes to the users get to know about the hardwares through the operating system. If I want to access the files in my hard disk is a hardware, and I am a human user. So I use operating system, which is Windows, to find what are the things on my hard disk, right? Once I go to this PC, I can see how my hard disk is arranged, right? So if I need to use word processing software, I have to install word processing software, where I'm going to install it to the program files, which is created by the operating system to have my other applications are being installed, right? So without the operating system, I won't be getting something called program files. So without program files, I won't be able to install a program into the computer via a Windows operating system, right? So application softwares, then only application software will be able to interact with the user to do the user's work. Without installing the application software, user won't be able to interact with the application software. To install the application software, it needs an operating system. Okay, people, did you got the idea about that? Yes, everyone. Are we clear about this?
Yes, sir.
Right, great. Okay, so people, since the time is up, by next week, I'm going to introduce you different kinds of operating system. We have a nice small videos to see what's the history of the Windows, what's the history of the Mac operating system, what's the history of the Android and Ubuntu and all these things, right? So by next week, we are going to talk about that. And then we'll proceed through the operating system to see what are the types of operating system and what are the tasks of them, right? Okay, so I'll end the session from here just for today, people, right? Hoping you to have the operating systems by next week. And don't forget, you are given a small task to prepare some small presentation about something that you are interested in. So please be prepared with that so you can present it to me, right? So before it comes the next week, it's better you send me the small presentation that you have done through the that email address that I have sent to your WhatsApp groups. So I can go through those and you can be prepared to present that, right? Don't take a lot of pressure, just keep it simple, right? And give your best out of it, right? Okay, people, so thank you very much. I'll see you with your presentations by next week. After the presentations, we'll go through the this particular lesson and we'll continue it. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. So I'm going to end the session from here just for today.
Thank you, sir. Goodbye, sir. Have a nice
Right,
day.
people, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank
Goodbye.
you, sir. Goodbye, sir. Have a nice
Right,
day.
okay. Thank you, everyone.